We don't have to brag about our commitment to this podcast again, do we?
No, but I just want to say that I appreciate your desire to keep doing this thing, and I'm appreciating our relationship.
Oh, speaking of, thank you. I appreciate our relationship too. And speaking of appreciating our relationship, we recently had our first quote unquote fight.
Yeah, but before we get into that, dude, tell me all about the jet skis.
Um,
I even saw the video. I saw
yeah,
the beginning of the video on your Instagram, and I purposely did not watch it so that we can go. I want the
talk about,
live version.
dude, this lighting is so bad. I'm looking at myself I'm like, oh my God, fucking face is huge. My hair's receding. Oh my God,
John is freaking out. I mean, you're
I'm so
overlit.
self-conscious.
You're lit from above, and
Yeah, it's bad.
everyone knows it's not. It's
Yeah.
fine, dude. Honestly, remember, this is a podcast. Most people are going to be listening to this, not
I
watching it.
know, but then you're gonna post video clips and you're gonna look all perfect, and I'm gonna look like I'm bald. And anyway, the ride there was amazing. Open sea, giant sea-doos. You know, they're two-seaters. They go 50 miles an hour, and cruising across the ocean going 50 is pretty amazing. The ride back was miserable. The oh, you think that's funny? You think that's funny, Shaun?
I'm happy that the ride there was amazing, but I knew there had to be a but.
Yes, there's a but. The water was calm on the way there, and even when the water's calm, you're still like, this
You're bouncing,
jumping up,
you're bouncing up and down.
bouncing for sure. On the way back, dude, the water was choppy, and people think because it's water, it's water. No, water
It's like
going that
concrete.
fast, it's like concrete. So you just boom, boom, boom. Ass is hitting like a bench for 2 hours. 1 hour in, the guide stops us, and I don't know what the fuck we're doing, but like he stopped everyone and he was like circling, and I was like, what's the hold up? We were like stopped for like 30 minutes. I was like, what's the hold up? And he says, oh, I'm looking for dolphins for you guys. I was like, fuck the dolphins. I want to go home. Dude, I had glasses on, prescription glasses, and because it's salt water, it was dribbled with salt. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't only watermarked, but it was crispy.
Yeah,
It was like because the salt.
It was drying. It was drying on your glasses.
So I couldn't see, and I'm just holding on, doing this for fuck. After about an hour of coming home, I was like, all right, I'm done. I've experienced it. So I had to kind of suffer through it for another hour to get home.
So it wasn't boring.
No, it wasn't boring. You know, it would have been better if it was like just one ride there,
and then
like,
they boat you back, and they pick them all up or something, or they have like a caddy or something, bring the jet ski back.
Yeah, the up there and back is too much, man, to be honest.
But dude, it looked like a cool crew. Everyone had like their abs out and shit, and I don't know, it looked fun. And this was fun. It was like a bachelor. Kind of like a bachelor thing.
We didn't do anything else other than food, conversation, nachos. Nachos is probably as wild as we got.
Nachos.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool, dude. Yeah, I've been like dying to ask you about the jet ski trip this whole time.
I think you would have loved it, but it's definitely like, in my opinion, like children, one and done.
You weren't too up on the jet skis.
No, if you lean all the way back, it's there's more stability. You go faster.
Okay, so there were two people. There were two seaters, but you didn't have Brian Reeves hugging you the whole time.
No. You wouldn't want two people on this trip. It would, and you would feel sorry for the person in the back.
I like the idea of Brian Reeves hugging you the whole way to Catalina and back.
We were facing each other. He was in the front. We were facing each other, holding each other.
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad you had that. So John and I had our first fight. John has decided to do the retreat that we were talking about last week without me.
Oh, that's how you're gonna start this? That's how. Okay. Okay. So now we're gonna talk about the first fight, and then while we're done, we would be into the fight number 2. How did this start? It started via text. Okay, it started via text.
So here's the issue. The issue is that I texted John telling him that I was curious if the retreat that we were planning in January
had to be about breakups. Can we change the topic? Right.
If it had to be about breakups,
right?
And did it have to be about your book?
Yeah.
Basically.
Now, yeah. So in any other circumstance, I would be like, dude, yeah, let's change the topic. What do you want it to be about? And because we're collaborating, so it'd be like, but because my book is coming out, the whole point was this is about the book, and so I got a little. Hey, are we allowed to say butthurt anymore? Or is that
Yeah,
not?
yeah,
Oh, we
butthurt's
are.
fine. Yeah.
Okay, so I got a little butthurt because it. How I interpret it was, go do your book. Go do your little book thing on your own. Let's create something together better, right? So I took it personally, like, oh, he doesn't want to support me. And one thing I do is I always flip it. So if I feel this way, I always flip it. Like I always put myself in the other person's shoe. And I was like, okay, let's say, imagine Shaun's coming out with a book. He wants to do this retreat. It's called the Love Drive. Like, how would you feel? Would I be on board? Would I bet? And so I flipped it, and then I understood what it must have felt like for you. But then I also said, oh, I would totally support him. I would totally be like, yeah, let's do it. Knowing that was about that. And then we would do many more about different topics. I wasn't mad. I think I got over it pretty fast. I think, it's being a little hurt. It was a little hurtful, I think.
Well, I think a couple things. We probably shouldn't have done it over text, but you were busy for 3 days, right? Like you had one of your intensive coaching,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, someone else was with the client the whole time.
And so you didn't really have space to get on the phone. And then I was just expressing some concerns about the fact that I wanted to do a retreat with you that didn't, it just kind of felt like this was your retreat that I was supporting, which in any other normal circumstance, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But since this was our first retreat, I wanted it to be like our thing and not just John's book.
Yes.
And I want to be clear. I don't have a problem helping you sell your book or supporting you through your book sales. But for our first retreat, I wanted it to be special. It's like our first time. It's like our first time.
The timing was off. When you said, I want to, I have no problem helping you sell your book, I was going to interject and do a whole advertisement about it, but it's too late now.
I see.
That it's not fun anymore. The wave has passed.
I wanted our first time to be special is really what it felt like. And then you said, I think you're just overthinking this. This feels like you overthinking.
This is where I turned the knife on you.
This is where you turn the knife.
This is where I hurt you back.
This is where you hurt me back. Yeah. You said, I feel like you're overthinking, and that actually concerns me about future projects, doing future projects with you.
Yes. So I don't think I would have hurt you if I said, I think you're overthinking. But to say now, because of your decision, I don't know if I want to do other projects with you. Like that's where I think you're like, okay, what do you do? Now you're taking this too far. And also, overthinking is something that Shaun has been vulnerable about. So me using that as leverage is also unfair.
Yeah. And
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it was like, it also felt like, oh, you don't want to help me? Well, then I don't want to help you either.
I could see that.
So there was a little it felt like a little retaliation. And what was frustrating about it is like, we could have just hammered this out on the phone. What frustrated me is that by the time we got on the phone, you're like, oh, I've already found someone else to do it with. Which is legitimate.
Because I had to scramble. I had to scramble because now that you're out, I've already told the people making creatives. Like I can't. I was desperately being like, okay, well, who do I replace? I want to do this. I can't cancel it. I've already pressed go on the thing,
And here's what's funny. It's like I had already said, hey, why don't you just do this one on your own, and we'll do we'll do another one together. And then as soon as you were like, oh yeah, I found somebody else, then part of me was like, oh, now I want to do it. It was like when you take a kid's toy away that he doesn't even like, then he starts getting upset because someone else wants the toy that he didn't even want anymore. And like that happened to me. Like we were talking on the phone. I was like, you already replaced me. I was totally down to go do this. Like I flip-flopped even more after the fact.
So it worked. No, I'm just kidding.
It worked.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. That wasn't to make you feel any way. That was just me saying, these retreats, I usually partner with someone. It's easier. I don't want to do this by myself. It's less fun. So I just scrambled and found someone else that just a friend. So, but that wasn't intentional. That wasn't like, someone rejects you and you're like, all right, let me show you who I'm dating next. Let me rub something in your face. That wasn't me trying to do that. I promise.
Yeah. I know that, but that's what it like kicked up in me, right? It was like, oh, he doesn't want to do it with me. Now I want to do it with him. right?
Yes. And also, to be fair, I I found someone like 3 minutes after, which is a little too fast. It was like, "John, it's a little too fast. Why don't you wait a day?" It was just because I was already talking to her about other things, and you're probably like, "Okay, now you're being vicious."
Well, it did feel soon, but I understand because you're a shoot from the hip guy. You're an
Yeah.
underthinker and I'm an overthinker. So it makes
Yes.
sense that you like kind of scrambled a little bit. You're like, oh, fuck. I think you
Yeah.
get like, I take longer to make decisions. You make them very quickly. And I think that when I told you I was having some doubts, what we could have done was get on the phone. That I think would have been the best move and just
Sure.
like talk about my
Sure.
concerns and your concerns. And I think we probably could have come to a nice compromise.
I also didn't want to talk you out of it if it was something that you didn't want to do, but you're doing just for me. It's like it's like in a relationship. It's like, oh, it's been a week. It's time to have sex. But do you want to have sex? Or are you just doing it for me? I thought the experience then would be you kind of going through the motions or feeling like you're taking one for the team. And I genuinely wanted to support. If you're not feeling this topic, then don't do it, man. It's a weekend.
It's not about the topic, first of all. Like, I think breaking up is fine. I did think that a New Year's retreat, it'd be, if it was like a New Year, New You, or like setting intention for for whatever, that'd be nice. And also, I wouldn't have been talked into it. I feel like that removes my agency. If you already make a unilateral decision without even giving me the chance to be talked in or out of it. Like I wanted an opportunity to be heard, and I didn't feel really heard in that whole thing. Where I had concerns about.
You mean because I replaced stuff? You mean because I called someone really fast?
Yeah, well, not that. It's like it's more about the fact that like I wanted it to be about us for us to do a retreat together, and I don't think that piece was addressed at all. It was all about, oh, you don't want to do this thing? Yeah, it's about my book, dude. Like, you want to do this thing? Like, okay, I'll find somebody else. But it's like, oh, what about the piece where I'm like, I like you, John, and I want to do a retreat where it's both of us coming together as like equals and doing a thing together.
That makes sense. And we're going to still do that.
We are. And also, I want to just give you some love, and I think we need to move on because people are going to be like, Jesus Christ, these guys are insufferable. I want to give you a lot of like love and admiration for just how you handled the phone call after. Like, you were like, oh, I'm not mad at you, man. I just like, it stung a little bit. I processed it. I thought about you as a person and like Shaun's a good person and I like him and I want to keep doing stuff with him. And the whole thing felt really, really nice once we got to talking on the phone.
Well, here's my takeaway, and here's why this lines up with this show and the mission of this show. I told Vanessa after I got off with you, I said later that night, I had a corrective experience with another man. Shaun and I got on the phone, and we literally talked for 4.5 minutes. It was very fast. And it wasn't because we were busy. It was because there was nothing else to talk about. It was kind of resolved. And I said the corrective experience was we were both very non-defensive. And basically, Shaun said, hey, here's some things that I want to own. I said, here's some things I want to own. And I was like, we're good. And I said corrective experience because most men who I have gotten into, friends, disagreements, conflict, it's defense, man. It's a lot of defense, like, and then you get into more arguments and it's heated. And so this was refreshing that we could just get on the phone, be real, talk about what bothered or hurt each other, resolve it, apologize, take ownership, and then like the conversation's done.
Yeah.
Unless you still have residue, unless you still are still angry. I
don't, and I do want to say that like the retreat is going to be great. It's January 10, 11, and 12, and it's with Sylvie Kukassian, which is a boundary boss. I've had her on my podcast. I've never met her. I will meet her at In Bloom.
You will meet her
in April with Brian Rees, and she's amazing. And it kind of feels like, I don't want to say it's an upgrade, but it's kind of an upgrade. So everybody break up on purpose, retreat, Jan 10, 11, 12, Idlewild, California. I told you, man.
You don't have to help me. You don't have to.
Sylvie and John. Yeah, but anyways.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be great regardless. And then then you and I are going to figure out a time to do our retreat.
We're going to do many retreats, man. It's the house is there and it's whenever and you're moving to LA, so it's like whenever. It's
I
so
love
easy.
that you say that. When you say like we're gonna do a lot of stuff together, like that feels good. It kind of feels like, you know, when you're in a new relationship and you're like, we're gonna
travel.
Yeah, we're gonna go to Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you my childhood house. It's gonna be so fun. We're gonna go get bagels at whatever Bagel Bros.
Right.
We just have to see if it, you know,
if it's not false advertising.
If we follow through.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool.
I want to say that, you know, in the umbrella of, or under the umbrella of, we can do better. And I don't want to make this like a man thing, but more of a human thing. Hurt feelings, honest conversation, no joke, 6 minutes of just people owning and not being defensive, and it's good, you know. So it's not about how many times we fight, it's about how we fight. The way that we fight can actually bring us closer together. So
the repair. This is what they're talking about, right? When they talk about the repair.
Yeah.
Are you able to come
there's
back
going
together,
to be ruptures. Yeah.
Drop the fists, hash it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the problem is between us. Oh, no, that's right. That's not right. The problem is in front of us. We're sitting next to each other and we're looking at the problem together rather than
same team.
We're on the same team.
Yeah. Most people, the problem is in between us, and we're picking up the tug of war rope, and now we're both pulling on it.
Yeah. Okay, so here's something I wanted to talk about. It's all connected to we can do better.
Yep.
The tattoo that I wanted to get was going to say good enough, as in like, things are good enough. This is good enough. I'm good enough. You're good enough. How does that fit into we can do better? Isn't that like the opposite of we can do better? We could do better is like, oh, this isn't good enough. Like, we need to do better.
So when you have, the we can do better part is we can do better about telling ourselves that we're good enough, that there doesn't need there. You know what I'm saying? That we are enough. Your tattoo, by the way, just one thing to consider. People are going to assume that means that what the tattoo, and you may not care. I don't care what people think about my tattoos. You got that tattoo to remind yourself that you're good enough.
Yeah, but that's I first of all did not get good enough tattooed on me.
Oh, if I thought you remember,
just no. That's over because I didn't want people to think
that you're saying to yourself. You don't want people to think it was a note to self.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares? But you're right. That made you feel. Yeah.
So, well, okay. This is interesting. I think I'm realizing that so the reason we rescheduled this podcast is because I signed up for that year-long somatic experiencing program that I told you about, and I didn't want to do it because it's going to be scary and it's going to put me in very vulnerable positions.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to experience fear and anger and joy and sadness and in a group container and take risks. And basically what I came to the conclusion today is that like I deeply want to be seen, but really struggle with being seen. And I think
you want to be seen, but you struggle with showing yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, that's one of the reasons I got a tattoo. It was like, hey, look at me. I'm cool. Look at this tattoo on me. Like, it's not a subtle tattoo. It's not on my rib cage where no one can see it unless my shirt's off. It's on my forearm, which you could see a lot of the time.
Isn't it also self-expression for you? Isn't it also art? It's not like I don't see that you got that tattoo as you tap dancing or seeking some kind of validation approval.
I think it's both.
Yeah, maybe it's both.
I think it's both. If it was really about, I guess, I mean, yes, and I want to be seen. And I struggle with being seen. Like it's like, oh, I don't have enough followers. Like I feel like followers are it's a surrogate for not having been seen by my parents growing up. Right? I want other people to see me. I want people out in the world to see me. I want to be seen because I don't think I was seen growing up.
Yeah, I mean I think that's also the majority. I think many of us want to be seen. Many of us are not seen in our intimate relationships or have been seen in our relationships, and that's a desire they have for sure.
Do you want to be seen?
I'm trying to think. I don't know if I was seen by my parents. They're always at work. I feel like with friends, I was seen. I have this weird thing with friends, especially guy friends, where they start to get controlling and possessive of me. And maybe this is something I should let you know as we, grow our friendship. Many times in my life, my best friends have been people who um, would almost try to like control me, or it was almost like almost felt like a romantic relationship, but we weren't romantic. Um, they would want my time. They would possess, like, try to like shed me to make other friends. Like, very strange, man. That's happened many times in my life where I felt very controlled by my guy friends.
Is this a recent thing?
No, not so much anymore. But college, growing up, friends that they would say they're best friends. I wouldn't even think they're best friends, but they would announce it or introduce me as their best friend, and then slowly kind of be very possessive of me. I don't know how else to explain it, which is very weird.
How does that feel?
There was a part of me that liked it. There's a part of me that felt like, oh, this person values me or wants me to themselves. Part of me felt like that made me feel special, And then another part of me, complete resistance, like claustrophobic. Dude, get off me. I'm my own person,
Or is there a part of you that like didn't feel seen for the real person that you were, because they were just sort of like using you to get something else, or
I think
it
my
was about
false
them?
belief. I think my false belief has always been, since I've came to America, was trying to fit in, so trying to make it to the quad. Less about being seen, more about fitting in. And so, growing up in the '80s, in order to fit in with the cool kids, I had to be good at something because I didn't have blonde hair or white skin.
Yeah.
So I had to be able to spin on my head or ollie over a trash can.
Could you ollie over a trash can?
I used to ollie over a trash can. I
Like
wanted to be
like standing up, like a
No, laying down. Sorry.
okay. So
Why is that important, Sean? Why do you have to say?
dude,
Are you competing with me now?
It's a huge difference, by the way. But I want to give you.
That's fucked up. Why can't you just say? Why can't you just be impressed? Why
Dude,
can't you just?
okay.
Look, sideways is still big. It's still like fucking by your hips, man.
Lengthwise. Okay, everybody, ollieing over trash can around Rubbermaid trash can, like, or one of those metal ones, is a feat for sure. That's like 3 feet far and 2.5 feet tall. That's a lot of ollie.
So ollieing is for, what is it? It's something you do on a skateboard. It's kicking your skateboard up to jump.
It's jumping with your skateboard.
Yes, with your skateboard.
Skateboard.
Ollieing over a trash can, yeah. And Shaun said to me, he just said to me, was it standing up? I'm like, come on.
Okay, but just to be clear here, ollieing over a trash can that's like upright is very difficult.
Well, that's next level, dude. That's like my body height. That's like me. Come on. That's like ollieing over a car. Jesus.
Did you get that little bald spot on the top of your head from spinning on your head? I just learned about that. I just learned about that this week. It's called something. You know about that?
Listen, I don't spin on my head anymore. It's been, 30 plus years. The bald spot on my head is because of age and stress.
It's called, I don't know what it's called. There was a name for it. Inevitable baldness from head spins. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
See, we had to bring some lightness. That was starting to get too heavy.
Yeah, that's true. I think I would trade that in, because the ability to spin on your head would probably make up for the bald. You would be your sexiness would go up, even though not having hair, your sexiness would be more than the not having hair, I think.
I mean, if I were to pick between ollieing over a trash can upright and spinning on my head, I'm picking ollieing any day, all day.
Really?
All day. Oh yeah.
Even these days? Because okay.
Oh, dude, a 42-year-old who can ollie over a trash can, I'm
compared to head spins,
forever cool. Yeah. Sorry. Forever
oh my
cool.
God, you're nuts. Have you
skateboarding is bigger than breakdancing?
Have you seen someone do a head spin? It blows your mind. And also with dancing, women who see men.
It's not dancing. It's not like partner dance. It's not tango. They want tango.
Breakdancing requires more coordination than any fucking dance. What are you talking about?
When you meet a woman and she's like, "Do you dance?" and you're like, "Yeah, I breakdance. That's not what they were.
They'll be impressed. They will be impressed.
But that's not what they were picturing.
You think a woman would be okay? So you're on a date and you're like, yeah, I can ollie over a trash can standing up.
No,
you think a woman would be like, oh my god, you can ollie over a trash can standing up? They'd be like, you're a fucking kid. You're still riding your skateboard.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right.
Exactly.
On a date, a woman is going to be more impressed by the fact that you're like an accomplished breakdancer than someone who can ollie over a trash can.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Yes.
No doubt about it. But
that sounds like failure to launch to me.
Personally speaking, I would prefer, it was way more fun for me to ollie over a trash can.
Got it. My ultimate dream was to skate vert. We had no rich friends who can build half pipes in their backyard.
Yeah.
So I just had trash cans. We had the curbs, and we were street skating is where I just spent hours.
Dude, we should compare photos of 16-year-old us skateboarding.
Yeah, I can't do it anymore. But anyway.
Me neither. I do have a skateboard that I use around town. Okay.
Yes. So Shaun is wanting to be seen, and I think for me, it's wanting to fit in. I mean, early on, not so much anymore. As I get older, it's like I don't care less, but it's still there. There's still residue, and also compound that with growing up in Los Angeles, pursuing screenwriting, where fitting in or trying to get into the quad is lined with desperation.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Hollywood's high school.
I want to stand out, and you want to fit in.
Well, what's ironic is it kind of flipped where. My early half of my life, I wanted to fit in, but then after my divorce, I started to lean into just who am I and what is my truth, and by doing so, I feel like as a therapist, I stand out more than I fit in.
Yeah, you stand out. Just
the way I work, things I do.
And I think I've always wanted to stand out. I've never wanted to fit in. I mean, I would fit in with the counterculture kids, the back parking lot stoners and skaters that had those little custom Beatles bugs, 68 whatevers, the little windows and shit.
Yeah.
But I did kind of want to fit in. It's funny when you stand out, you kind of want to fit in with like a counterculture, a much smaller crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you're never there's no ultimate loner. I mean, even I was not a cool kid growing up. And I wanted to stand out, and I had two other friends who were not cool kids, and together we were like a little trio of losers,
like outcasts. No, but you didn't get bullied though, right?
I got bullied a little bit. Mainly because I was very outspoken and I had a smart mouth.
I can see that.
Yeah, and so I was bullied, and I got in trouble a lot at school. You want to hear the dumbest thing?
Did you fight back, or did you just run?
I ran.
Yeah.
Yeah, once I pretended to lose a contact to stop the fight.
Wait, I can't see. It's not fair.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, but you know what? That's smart.
Yeah. And then I ran. And then I was like, "Oh, I can't see anything." And then I left. But I had the contact the whole time.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. I could see you being a smart ass in high school and using your sharp tongue as the weapon, not your fist.
Yeah. I use it as a weapon for other things too.
Oh, jeez. Not humor. Not humor. Also, I mean, would you call it a weapon? I mean,
Hell yeah, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Accuracy, sharp shooting.
Right.
Okay, anyways. Want to hear something stupid?
Yes.
I was not a good student. I graduated college. Yeah. Shocking that both of us were not good students. But,
C student.
Yeah. I graduated. Okay, so I transferred from West Valley College, community college in Saratoga, San Jose, with a 2.8. I transferred to UC Santa Barbara. I graduated Santa Barbara with a 2.4.
Yeah, but the fact that you got into Santa Barbara already makes you a better student than me.
Well, I went to every school. I applied to every UC school. I only got into Santa Barbara. And my dad said, "Oh, you can't get in. You can't go to that one. You can go to any of them but that one." I was like, "Well, that's the only one I got into. So either I go or I don't go to college." But the story I wanted to tell you is that I was a bad student, and in sophomore year, geometry, I think math. I hated math. Math was my worst.
Everyone.
Well, some people are really good at math. Anyways, we had to like turn our homework up to the front of the, like you would just pass it up to the desk in front of you, and then they would all go to the front, and then she would collect all the homework.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were doing some work while she was grading the homework, and she goes, "Hey, Shaun." I go, "Yeah." Right in the class, this is in the middle of the class. She's like, "Is there a reason why your homework has Nate Bellamy's name on the top?" And I was like, "Oh, that's because I copied his entire homework, including his name."
Oh, wow. Yeah. I
Like,
don't think that's a dumb thing. I think you weren't paying attention. It was an autopilot thing.
I mean, it's pretty dumb to be like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to write his name as my name. And then she was like, "Are you sufficiently," because this was in the middle of a class. She goes, "Are you sufficiently embarrassed, or do you need to go to the principal's office?" And I'm like, "No, this is good. This is a corrective experience."
I like that you were honest about it. That's very you.
It's
Not
on
trying to hide
brand,
it.
right?
Yes, but then there's also, you're honest about it, but it's also smart assy.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of trying to hide it, just being, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know how that happened. I wonder. That's so weird. Yeah, Nate must have left it as his. He must have my homework or something. And then like, Nate was like 2 desks over. Like, when I get caught, I own it.
Yeah. Yeah, which is a good sign, because when you're wrong or if there's conflict, just owning it is the right thing to do. And that's tracks were laid early on.
Wait, what?
Tracks were laid early on, meaning
tracks were laid. Tracks were laid.
Yeah, you were practicing then, and so now when you get into any kind of argument or fight, you own things pretty fast.
Do you think school was like the right move for you?
No, I don't believe in education. I don't like education. I'm very different than, say, my partner who loves studying and information and research and history. I'm a doer. I need to go do. I don't need to learn.
Yeah, I feel the same. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I also feel like this might be a hot take, but I have seen so many women just like overstudy and take the next course and the next program and the next training,
and they don't do anything.
Book.
They just
learn.
Like,
can you just fucking do the thing already?
Yeah.
You have enough wisdom.
Yeah.
Just go and share your gift.
I don't believe it's wisdom that should be of value, or information. Information is free these days. I think it's the actual practice. It's the actual falling down, getting back up. It's the practice. It's the reps of life. It's not information. It's not learning things,
Well, but yeah, some people have inherent wisdom, and they also have the collective experience that they've had, or their collective experience, right, of growing up, and they don't need more training to just share that and be helpful.
No, and I think if you just learn, what you're stripping yourself of is your unique self. So say you want to be a coach and you go get 5,000 certificates, you just become like a vending machine. Like, I feel like you know a lot of things and there's a lot of copy and paste, but you haven't practiced enough where you're comfortable to now throw everything you've learned out the window and do something unique to you.
Yeah.
I think it was Quentin Tarantino that said, learn everything, learn from the greats, and then throw everything out the window.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing with this program, this somatic experiencing program called Core Energetics. Like, it's a lot of just like being in the body and processing and like getting triggered. And and no amount of book knowledge is going to get us through these experiences. It's also very painful and triggering. And
are you getting close with the people you're doing this with? You must be.
Yeah. I got triggered today. This guy was just talking, and I was just like, "Fuck, I hate you." I just like I said it. And I go, "I hate how pretentious you are. And I hate how like you speak up and say shit. And I didn't pay all this money to hear you talk. I paid the instructors to teach, not you, and then it led us to this big process, and we got to unpack it. And it was
Did he say things back? Like, I also hate you? And
he in his pretentious way was like, "Yeah, thank you for bringing that. Like, I totally hold that." And
yeah.
And then at the end, he thanked me. He's like, "Yeah, I could have gotten triggered, but I'm like better now than I was last year, and so I'm able to just let it bounce off." I was like, "Fuck you again," just like more pretentious bullshit.
Yeah, he's saying he's better than you.
Well, it's his. He's
saying you can't get to him. You can't get to me.
Yeah, you can't get to me. And
I know more.
and that's okay. It's okay. I think that's his shield.
So yeah, information. So having a lot of numbers, letters after your name, or knowing a lot of things can be something you hide behind. So that can also be where people aren't showing themselves because they know a lot.
Yeah. Okay, I'm hesitant to give you a little to share something with you, but
is this feedback from the audience?
It's from me. I know. Is this too soon?
It is. It's in one episode. We're gonna go from that to okay.
But I think it's important for our relationship.
Well, this podcast is kind of turning into an intervention. Every episode is some kind of intervention. I'm standing up. I gotta brace myself and shit.
Hey, we don't have to do this. We could just go to listener questions.
You have to do it now because you have announced it, so the listener is not. They won't be satisfied if you don't do it because
I know, but what a great cliffhanger.
No, I think they'll just unfollow. They'll be like, these guys set shit up. They don't pay it off. It's not worth it.
Okay,
it's all sugar.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot, but I think it's important.
Okay.
Sometimes when I share a story, I would love for you to just get a little curious about my experience rather than to share your your story.
Okay.
Like the example is when I got rejected last week after the date. There was like maybe 10, 20 seconds of like, oh, well, yeah, that's crazy. I want to throw something in the pot.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like it would have been so nice to be like, dude, how does that feel?
Yeah,
When was the last time that happened to you?
Yeah. I think that's great. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's a great note. So I'm leaning toward responding that I think can be an excuse, which is because this is a podcast, I'm trying to think about what the audience wants, or I see this as more of a show, but that is an excuse. The truth is, you're right. I mean, speaking of making you feel seen, that's the opposite of that. So by you sharing something like you being rejected on a date, which is also very vulnerable, me not asking you how that was for you is not creating a space where you're seen. Instead, I'm moving on to my, I'm pushing you away, and now I'm taking the stage. And here's what happened to me.
And I want there to be room for you also. Like I'd be way more curious about your story if you were a little curious about mine before you shared yours.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's how it works. That's usually how it works.
Because then you told your story, and I'm like, well, now I got to bring it back to my story. Because I wasn't finished.
Hey, man, that's a pretty accurate observation, and I'm not hurt by it. I think it's it's something that I will definitely consider. And that's something I need to work on for sure.
And
here's the other thing: if you feel it, other people must feel it too.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't gotten this feedback, but I'm only telling you because I care about you and I want to stay in connection with you. Right? Like that's the whole deal with boundaries, right? Is like we or expressing desires because we want to stay in relationship. If I didn't care about you, I'd just be like, well, fuck him. He doesn't listen to my stories, and we're not. This isn't going anywhere anyway. So what's the point? But the point is that I do like you, and you're important to me, and I like this relationship.
So this is the part, everyone, that Shaun's doing right now, which is important when it comes to repair, because he's not just criticizing me and leaving me hanging, but he's also saying, I'm saying this because you're important to me, or because so. Thank you for that. That actually is what makes it repair, not just here's what you can do different, or here's how you've hurt me, but how I feel about you. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm feeling very tender right now.
What's going on? Did I say something to
Well, I think it's just I just got back from that program.
Yeah.
Like literally a half hour ago, and so there's a lot of stuff there, but I don't know, I feel seen. I think is what it is. Like I feel seen and I feel heard by you, and you didn't get defensive, and I don't know. I think that's what's coming up.
Well, thank you for showing showing not just us but me that side of you, man. I appreciate that.
Well, there was two options, at that point where I felt emotion coming up. It was like either you honor it and you give it space and you try to put a word to it, or you go like, oh, God damn it, there's something in my eye.
That wouldn't have worked. You're like, I lost the contact.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like there's some inauthentic version of what's happening or the thing that's happening.
Yes, and one of the things I appreciate about you is you're really authentic, man, and I mean, in the little time that I've known you, I don't see a lot of false moments.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you hold up, meaning I don't see any falseness. It's okay if I don't agree with them or if they hurt me, whatever. But the moments that you have, they're real, man. They're authentic. So
usually what you see is what you get, for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's a mask. There's always a mask there. But I am trying to live in more of this like authentic place where I speak my truth, even if it could be hurtful. I try to do it kindly. Like I think when I sent you the text message about the retreat not being right, I think I tried to be kind, and it still hurt you. But it was important for me to speak that because I don't want to have to like stuff my emotions down or my feelings or my needs just to please somebody else.
Right.
And so I want to be authentic, even if it's awkward and it creates a little bit of rupture and friction. Are you okay?
I'm okay, man. I think I can talk a lot, and I think sometimes, like today's been a long day.
Yeah.
I think I sometimes need to talk less, and the awkward, especially as a therapist, the awkward silences are what's hard. It's not the talking.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'll just take a breath to tell myself, you don't have to speak.
Yeah.
And just sit here,
Well, okay. You take a little break. Everybody, we need some more Apple podcast reviews.
God, you just lost them. You had them, Shaun. You had them in your palm, and you just fucking lost them. They're gone. They're gone. They're gone, Shaun. They're gone.
They're not gone. I love hearing your reviews. It means a lot to me, and it's also, if you want us to keep doing this podcast, we have big goals.
We have big dreams. We have
big dreams of finding a home for this podcast.
Yeah.
And
this podcast is currently homeless, and
it's homeless and it's self-funded and it's not cheap.
Yes, and we can, but we don't want to just start putting ads into this space. So we want to keep it kind of clean until we find it at home. So that's so yes, reviews and passing stuff to a friend. It's all word of mouth. So
share it, leave a review, tell us what you think about it. I read them. They're really nice. They're all really nice. They feel really great. They really do feel great.
Yeah.
And then if you have a question, we're going to take some listener questions right now. So John can take a little break. The phone number is 657-549-1001. Leave us a voicemail. Some people have been leaving text messages. I'm unlikely to read them or read them on the air. It's easier for me to just play them. And also, I want to hear your voice.
We want to hear your voice.
We want to hear your voice.
We want to hear your voice.
Okay. Let's see. What do we got? Okay. Boom.
Hi there. My name's Jackson. I'm a big fan of your work. I'm calling from Alaska. When I realized patterns in the relationship that were destructive and that were not helpful to me and just like disrespect, how do I avoid that in the future? Because I could only see it in hindsight and a while into the relationship. I'm only 18 years old, and I don't want that to happen again, in which I let things that are subtle but clearly show that the other person just doesn't have respect for me. And my feelings were always invalid if I brought them up. So how do I go into every relationship or any new one when I'm ready and really try and sift that out? How do I do better next time? Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, so I love this. I love that he called in, that he's 18, that he's asking these questions. Like I was not asking myself these questions at 18.
No, I was going to say the same thing. I was stealing car stereos, so.
Yeah.
and alling over trash cans sideways. Not
nice.
up, sideways.
Nice, dude. Nice. So first of all, like, we learn on each other. Right? Like we are learning to do relationship on each other because for the most part, there's a lack of relationship education. We're not seeing this in our schools. We're not really seeing our parents do it well. And so we're doing the best we can in our relationships. And so it might take you a little while to figure out who's good and who's not for you.
Right.
And the fact that he's aware of this pattern or that this is something that's come up for him makes it more likely that he's going to be able to identify this sooner in the next one. Right. So I wouldn't worry too much about a strategy on how to do better moving forward. I think continue to be aware and it's going to pop up a little bit sooner the next time.
Yeah. I was going to also say what you said, meaning applauding his age and the fact that he's even interested in protecting himself or how people talk to him when he's 18. So that's amazing. You're already, I think, ahead of so many other people. And then, yeah, dude, I think gauging if someone hurts you, instead of the reaction, the response, how did that make you feel? Oh, I didn't like this. Okay, I'm going to express it. It's hard for me. I'm not going to assassinate character, but I'm just going to express, hey, that hurt me a little bit. Shaun's a great example. This actually, me and Shaun, we just went through this where something stung. We were hurt. We talked about it. We didn't make demands. We put it out there. So I think it just takes practice.
Yeah. So you're saying like bring it up. When you get the twinge, like like he said, it was subtle and some of it's in hindsight, but I feel like it's going to be less in hindsight moving forward.
Yes, but I also think you got to not react from it. So bringing it up can be a reaction. If it's, like expressing how something made you feel is different than I'm cutting you out of my life. So like one can be a reaction, one's kind of a response. So just to be careful with that because I know when I was 18, I would jump, like if someone treated me bad and I was like him, that was important to me, I could also just cut someone out of my life, be reactive.
I was using drugs and alcohol. So that all my needs were being filled by drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. So you were cutting people out of your life as well, just indirectly.
Yeah. Emotionally.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you
for that.
Wow. Young listeners. That's amazing.
I know. I love that.
Dude, our dreams are coming true. This is turning into a love line.
Yeah.
Because I was his age when I was listening to Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla.
Did you ever call?
No, I never called. I never thought I could get in, but
I never called, but I called. This is kind of a side note, but I called. Do you remember your first concert?
I don't remember my first one. Saw a lot of Depeche Mode in high school.
That's
U2, Erasure, yeah.
Jesus Christ, I was like,
what's wrong?
Those are like mega shows that like today, like shows used to be like $20.
Oh,
now they're like $500.
Yeah.
Like you can't see U2. I mean, that's
you can, but yeah, it's like
that's iconic.
Yeah.
My first show was Primus, Tales from the Punch Bowl in Austin. And I won the tickets by calling the radio station because they're like first caller to identify the song. And it was Rage Against the Machine, Bulls on Parade. And it was literally like one note. And I like was on the phone.
Wow, you got in.
That's amazing. 13 years old.
Holy shit.
And I went to this with my friend Dorothy. And we both went there to see Primus, Tales from the Punch Bowl. Winona had a big brown beaver. And I went in there, walked in sober. I came out high as a kite.
At 13, wow.
Dude, so guys, like older dudes, like adults, were handing a 13-year-old a joint. Like I can't even imagine looking at a 13-year-old now and being like, do you want to smoke some weed, kid?
It was a different time.
It was
a different time. Also,
the 90s.
Were they referring to Winona Ryder?
Winona had a big brown beaver. I don't think so. I think it was just.
Oh, it was just.
Yeah.
And
she used to pet him all the time.
I had a crush on. I think everyone did.
Winona Ryder.
Yeah, 90s.
I just saw her in the new Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah, they're bringing that back.
Yeah, she looks great.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, one more question.
You know, I've been standing this entire time. This is the first podcast that I've done ever standing up the entire time.
And holding the microphone.
And holding, it's a heavy fucking mic. This is this is a Shure mic. It's heavy. I'm holding the mic and I'm standing up.
This is John's commitment to this podcast, everybody.
I feel like I'm going to need to sing We Are the World or something. Like,
okay, I mean,
we are the world.
To be fair, I mean, John's in a pro recording studio. Yeah. How is the audiobook recording process? How is that for you?
Long story, but topical because we're talking about how we're not academics. My biggest fear growing up was a teacher calling on me to read. And
I mean that's a nightmare for a lot of kids.
No,
for sure.
Dude, I can't. I don't know how to read. I'm bad. Also, I always had a boner, so there's 2 reasons. But
wait, you do know how to read. You're just not good at it.
I'm not good at it. Reading out loud, dude. I seriously, like, it's embarrassing, but I read like a 5th grader. So for example, a teleprompter, right? I you see my eyes going. That cat went to like that's how I read. And so to be in here for 3 days, dude, full 8-hour days, stare. I mean, you wrote the book, so you should know. So it makes it easier. But dude, you're fucking reading, and they're listening to you, and they're correcting you.
Oh my!
Can you do this better? Can you read it? It's fucking tedious. For me, it's the worst part of the whole book process. Is this part, and asking people for favors is my 2. Like, hey, I have a book coming out. Can you try to get me on that? Because they pound it in you. They're like, dude, we just invested this money in you. We need you to perform. We need you to sell. So those 2 parts of the book business, and it just comes. It's part of the business. It's hard for me.
Hey, I have a book coming out. You want to do a retreat with me? No.
Well, that's also probably why it hurt me so much.
Yeah.
Because I got to ask, I've asked my other friends, I've asked people. Some don't respond, and then you kind of not take it personally, and it's a whole thing, man.
No, anyway. I'm so sorry, man. I didn't know. I didn't know.
No, I'm just fucking around. That didn't.
No, but I don't think you are fucking around that much. I think it. I didn't know the impact that my request was going to have on you.
You know what? It didn't hit me until I flipped it and I said, if Shaun came out with a book called The Love Drive and wanted to do a retreat, would you support him? I was like, without a doubt. But then listen, I said to you, just because I would, I shouldn't put that on you or expect that from you as well. So that also wasn't fair. But that's where I got like all puffy chested and shit. Well, I would do it for him. What the fuck you can't do it for me?
It's like we have no idea what somebody's working with or what's going on for them
or what they're going through or how much time they have or
yeah well, I'm sorry. I really am.
You don't have to say I'm sorry. You don't have to say you're sorry anymore. We already that's already resolved. That's been repaired.
Repaired and repaved. Let's go.
Yeah.
You ready? Next one.
Yes. One more and then I gotta sit down.
yeah.
Hi, my name is Nicole. I'm 39 from Austin, Texas. I've been divorced as well as sober for 2 years. What are your thoughts around sharing details about my divorce when my addiction struggles played into it? People are usually curious right off the bat about why a marriage didn't work out. And while I'm not trying to hide anything, a lot of people have knee-jerk reactions about addiction. And I don't necessarily feel like I owe anyone deep details around my recovery journey in the first few dates. Love the podcast. Thanks.
I agree.
Me too.
You will be judged, unfortunately, with your addiction, and you'll be judged because you're divorced. Still, even though like 60% of the population is divorced.
Yeah, double whammy for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't think you owe anybody much in the first couple dates, other than like, we really weren't able to meet each other's needs. And if we get closer, I'm super happy to tell you about it. To tell you about it more for sure.
Broad strokes. Broad strokes. So it would be rude to just like say nothing, but I mean some broad strokes, or the fact that it's something I don't really want to feel comfortable talking about. So I think there should be some kind of response. But you have no obligation to detail your story of your recovery or addiction or your divorce.
Yeah, I mean, if it were me, obviously I would have a different tactic. I would be like, yeah, I'm in recovery. I used to drink a lot, and that drinking led to to my husband feeling unsafe, and so we divorced each other. Like that's what I would say. But that's my move.
I hate that the world still judges us because we're if I met someone and I found out they were divorced, I would actually, no joke, I'm not just saying this because I'm divorced, I would actually feel like they're wiser from it. I would feel like, oh, they've gone through some shit. They've learned some things. They probably ended up in it would be a credit, a point. It wouldn't be a point taken away.
Yeah, and at some point, you kind of, if you're going on dates and you're in your 40s, like most people have been divorced at this point. It's it's a little weird when they have it.
You know what it's like? It's like that whole thing with being a virgin and how that was like camaraderie, and if you're with someone but if you're a virgin, you've never had sex before, that sex probably isn't going to be as good as someone who has had a lot of sex and knows what they like and don't like, and you know what I'm talking about?
So you're saying that whoever marries me, the sex will be good, but the marriage will be bad.
No, I'm comparing it to people who say they're like, if you've never been in a divorce or never been in a relationship, you probably have not gone through many inner journeys or learned a lot.
Right.
If you've gone through a divorce. Now, it's different than like, hey, I'm on marriage 6.
Yeah.
That would be a little different. Yeah.
A lot of experience.
Yeah.
With divorces and marriages. Probably knows the whole process back and forth, Probably has a lawyer on retainer, divorce lawyer on retainer.
Yes, and I also mentioned virginity because I think, especially because I have a daughter, that whole concept can be damaging.
Yeah.
Because young people who have not had sex tie virginity to their worth. And then if they lose it, there's a lot of shame and all that stuff. So,
I mean, I get this question a lot. I get like, I'm a 32-year-old virgin. Like, what do I do? And I'm always like, I have no idea. Just find someone to have sex with, I think, and get it over with.
Well, it depends what virginity means to you. It depends, what like I have so many questions about that. It's not unless someone's a 32-year-old virgin, not by choice, meaning they would rather not be a virgin, but they just need to, they haven't had the opportunity.
Well, I think those are the people asking me.
Yeah. Not people who are cherishing it.
Like celibate. No, like willingly celibate. I think these would be, we don't call them incels. Not everybody. Anyways, I don't know why we're talking about this.
Because we birdwalk. That's part of this. That's part of this.
Okay.
I tell people I throw boomerangs, and sometimes they come back. Sometimes they end up in other people's backyards. Yeah. And I'm 50% of this show, so we'll throw some once in a while.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks for bringing up the virginity thing.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, I got to say, this was a great episode.
Shaun.
They're all great.
They're all great. No need for the announcement. If you have been listening to us at the end of every episode, Shaun says, "This was a great episode," and I'm like, "Yeah."
I'm surprised.
I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Hey, listen, as long as we're honest, it's good.
Yeah.
Once we stop being honest, it will not be good.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm on this ride, man. Hey, guess what? This was episode 20.
Holy shit, we were committed to 12. We're on 20.
Yeah.
And don't you feel like it's been fast?
It's been fast and it's been pretty easy. It's been very easy. Like there's not once have I not wanted to get on and talk to you.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe that will change when you move here. Dude, I just saw you yesterday. I can't. There's nothing to talk about.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder how much we're going to see each other. I heard it's like in LA. It's like, unless I live in Altadena, or I might join your gym or something.
Then we would see each other all the time. Also, that would be amazing. But you're right. People in LA talk a lot of shit. We're gonna hang out. They move here. and
never see each other.
Never see each other. It's the same with the ocean. I came to California because I love the beach. How many times do you go? Once a year.
Well, depends. Not if you live in Altadena.
Yeah, not if
you're not going to the beach. But if you live in Venice Beach, probably a lot.
If you end up living on the west side, 100%, we won't see each other. Except
so I might have found a place in Los Feliz.
Oh, one of my favorite places, Los Feliz.
Los Feliz.
Los Feliz.
Los Feliz. Like the cats.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite places of LA. Is that area?
Cool. Yeah, I found someone on Instagram. They were posting about it. They got a room, and who knows? I don't know if it's going to work, but
nice.
I'm in talks.
Awesome. Before Shaun says it, I'm going to say it first.
Be well.
You motherfucker. You motherfucker. Shaun, stop.
That's like putting your finger in someone's mouth when they're yawning.
That's exactly what it feels like. That's exactly.
Hey man, I love you. I love you lots.
I'm not saying it back. I'm not saying that part back.
It's okay. Have a beautiful week, everybody.
Be well.